you really got into that.
That was grooving.
Every time.
Well, it's not always such a good part of the clip, though. That one was really good.
Man,
it's like...
You don't even want to commentate StarCraft anymore. You just want to listen to
I just want to dance.
Monster Cast.
Yes! I want to dance while I commentate StarCraft, sir. In the bottom right-hand corner of the map, from the team TSL, Serrano, blue Protoss player, facing off against his opponent in the top left-hand corner, securing the first win for his team, FXO. Guys, it is Lucky.
And I still see that old faux U tag, and it makes me reminiscent of the days of yore. But no, obviously, faux U is no longer. They were acquired by FXO. Then all the foreigner players kind of got shifted out of FXO as FXO became a Korean-only team, and a very good one at that. Yeah. They have some stellar players. Obviously, Leenock's a guy who bounces between being on top of the world and kind of under the radar, but right now he's on top of the world. And FXO is a team, obviously, reigning GSTL champions, and pretty good at anything they do.
Yeah, completely true there. You know, I kind of got hung up on the whole part about Leenock bouncing between being unknown and being on top of the world. I'm like, Leenock, you know, he was kind of started off, he was always in Code A and early rounds of Code S, and just kept playing against players who were a little bit above his caliber, kept getting knocked back down, could not make it to those final rounds, and then all of a sudden, he just hit this tier. It was kind of the season after he got knocked out by SC. He just hit this point where actually he's a god, and he just started doing incredibly well. And of course, you know, with his young, youthful age that I envy so much, Leenock. Guys, the amount of energy that he's going to have at these live events that tend to last for a really, really long time, he's just had such incredible performances as of late with those.
Yeah, I mean, players like he, Life, obviously, Creator, Maru, those are the guys that you're really going to see start to really start impressing over the next couple of years, because they're going to have started so young but still have so much experience already at a young age. It's analogous to Flash. I mean, Flash is not that old of a guy, and you know, he's already doing very well in StarCraft 2. He obviously has the ridiculous history of Brood War behind him, so these young guys, though, they're really going to make an impact soon.
They definitely are, especially as they continue to get better and better, as you're saying. So, but guys, here we've got Serrano versus Lucky. Lucky getting out his 4 lings right now. He's going to start scattering to all corners of the Earth, and will easily find this probe that's sitting on just 25 hit points and shield. So it will be chased away. And of course, see, in this kind of a situation, if you want to ideally kill this probe, like guarantee that it's dead, you actually don't want to do right now what Lucky's doing. He's hitting it from behind, but no, with his second Zergling coming here, he's like, okay, actually this thing's just dead, so I'm not too worried. But it is best to run up alongside the probe and then actually hit it. You lose less distance off the probe that way, and could this probe actually make it back? It's down to just 5 hit points. Zergling's getting, oh, it does get taken out. I was like, did Lucky get overconfident there? But no, probe goes down.
Yeah, probe falls, but nothing really interesting to note out of both these guys so far. 2 gas, about right time for Cyrano. The 2 hatcheries are just finishing up for Lucky at the moment. He'll save up to about 35. Oh, well, that was actually kind of good. He decided to just, he wasted 2 Zerglings, but he got in there and denied all the mining over at the natural, and that's the power of just 2 Zerglings sitting inside of your opponent's base.
Really want to highlight that Cyrano opted to take his second probe outside to confirm the information on this 3rd hatchery. I absolutely love when Protoss players play very reliable scouting. You know, they make sure that their opponent isn't doing anything crazy, and it creates for extreme consistency in their gameplay. You know, if you're kind of just going to toss it to the wind, say Naniwa versus Leenock at that MLG finals, I mean, it's just like, actually, you know, I'm only going to do the initial probe scout, and then I'll wait till my Zealot comes out. And it was so easy to just deny that Zealot scout with a couple of Speedlings, and then he lost so many games because of that. So I love that I'm seeing this right now out of Cyrano, that he's going out, being very proactive on the map.
Nani was a smart player, though, man. He was ahead of the curve, and
no,
you know, I mean, it was during that MLG that he said "Forge fast, expand or die," and well, that's pretty much become what's that's what Protoss players do now. And unfortunately, he was punished. People said that some people said that Leenock was being cheesy. No, Leenock was doing what was necessary to win. And now Protoss players have become more adept at being able to hold all that kind of stuff off those really roach rushes. But different time and place, and interesting to see how those strategies have, well, basically become standard, at least the Forge Fast Expand, of course.
Couple of quick gasses here. Do expect Cyrano to not hesitate in taking a third too much because, I mean, he's getting sentries here, but he's getting a Twilight Council. He's also got +1 on the way, and he doesn't seem to be rushing out that Warp Gate tech, instead working on probes right now. So, you know, third definitely not as, yeah, and he's working on this the rocks in the back. So, but is applying a little bit of pressure right now. Zealot Stalker, always love these early maneuvers before your opponent does get roaches or speed. We actually see that Lucky's going to start up speed as a response to this.
Okay, well, Lucky starting up speed, as you mentioned, got his evolution chamber, waiting to see, of course, the layer tech, I would imagine, with an X-Hunger gas, and then eventually a Roach Warren here momentarily. There's the layer, and a Roach Warren should follow that up pretty soon. Well, unless he decides to go the double Evo chamber Muta route, but whatever. Anyway, neither here nor there. The robotics facility is already hitting the ground right now for Cyrano at the moment, though. So we can see that Zealot was tucked into a very nice spot where it would be the most cost-effective. Still ends up dying, though.
Yeah, it was really, really nice. You know, we always talk about the attention to detail out of these top level players. Robotics facility on the way at this moment for Cyrano. He does have a grand total of 4 gateways and is going to be working on Blink and +2. He's got a lot of units, though, working on these back rocks under the guise of this Zergling, able to see that these rocks are being depleted. So we see him moving forward with a couple of Zerglings right now, maybe hoping to be lucky and catch off a probe.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. I don't believe that for a second. Fourth gas is coming up now, though, for Lucky, and his layer tech's finishing up. Of course, I don't believe there's a Roach Warren in sight. Maybe there isn't, I just missed it, but not that I've seen so far. He's already investing into 1-1 technology and going right up to an infestation pit.
All right, well, there's the probe. It was guarded the entire time, so nothing happens there. As you were saying, infestation pit, tucked in the back here, is going to allow Lucky to get 2 more advanced tech rounds as we see him grabbing his 3rd and his 4th gas. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a drone grabbed in a moment here and ran over to this 4th and to secure that, because you don't want to let a Protoss player get even on you with bases for a very, very long time. Some Zerg players actually don't mind it so much. They really just enjoy being insanely efficient with units, but Lucky isn't so much one of those types of players as much as he is just playing solid strategic gameplay overall.
He is picking up quite a few minerals at the moment. I'm not sure how much longer he has available. That may necessitate a 4th base, and it looks like that is, in fact, being dropped down. But he's obviously has to pump out a lot of Zerglings right now because the vast majority of the cost of the Infestors is going to be in that gas, and he has enough gas to basically put up 4 Infestors right now.
I just missed seeing that infestation pit as well as this Roach Warren, which has just gone down, and that would actually give him a huge amount of information saying, what? We're at 11 minutes and you don't have a Roach Warren? It could be something that Cyrano could completely capitalize on right now, as he's sitting on quite a hefty sentry count and a lot of energy, which would really, really do well versus massive Zergling. But honestly, he doesn't have the units to make such a push, as he's just now throwing down the robotics bay. Of course, Zergling's so vulnerable to that splash damage.
Yeah, and that's going to be his first foray into splash damage. Of course, no Templar Archives done yet at the moment. So more Immortals being added on now. Spires coming up for Cyrano. Roach Warren there mostly just to keep him safe in case any sort of big aggression would come out. I like, though, that he's made enough Zerglings that he can kind of test the waters for a while. I mean, he's got 1,000 minerals sitting around, not too much to spend them on at the moment. So besides just kind of other bases or macro hatches, things like that.
Cyrano does see that the 4th is currently under construction, gets a good idea of how much longer it's got to go. A couple more gateways going down for him as well. Lucky, on the other hand, guys, has a huge production tab right now with an entire cornucopia of things being upgraded and produced, including 13 drones all popping out right now, which is going to bring him to 95 workers. 64 for Cyrano, a Protoss player from TSL at this moment. Looks like Lucky maybe gearing up for a little bit of an attack. Those Zerglings coming in, a lot of Infestors as well. Force Field's going to go down, trapping a lot of these infested Terrans being thrown over the wall. Maybe he'll be able to target down a few sentries here.
Yeah, I mean, that would certainly be advantageous for him, especially because there's only 4 out there, and that would really limit the available energy. But it looks like, no, he's actually just going to kind of haphazardly go after a couple of structures and then a couple of zealots. So most of those sentries actually staying alive with almost full energy. So not the best use of energy from Lucky, but he does successfully delay his opponent, at least for a little while longer, while he continues to produce units back at home. We see the Stargate, well, never mind. It was there for about 1.5 seconds for Cyrano. Kind of wonder why he canceled that, but alas, we'll find out another time.
Zerglings all over the map right now for Lucky. We do like seeing that. Looks like we've got extended thermal lances and Colossi on the way. And it looks like he didn't have quite enough gas, but yeah, at this stage there, yeah, there's the Stargate going down once again. +3 also on the way, so we just did not want to wait a single second for that extended thermal lances. Want to make sure it gets on the field, as well as charge. All going to be vital upgrades for him going up against such a Ling-heavy composition. We also see Overlord Ventral Sacs being researched right now by Lucky.
Yeah, not just that, but he's making 15 spine crawlers. We can see them all kind of accumulating up there over towards the top, also over at the 4th base. So making sure that he's going to remain very well defended. Wow, another 11 coming up in addition to all of those. Oh, he's got such a defense going on. All right, so Cyrano's certainly going to have his work cut out for him here in a bit if he wants to try and assault this. Even really if he wants to try and take another base, because Lucky is going to have the flexibility to put on pressure through his good creep spread, through the burrowed units at each of his bases. He'll know approximately when his opponent's going to do something. But look at this. He's going to use Ventral Sacs just to drop in a small task force and try and disrupt some, maybe grab a Nexus, try and disrupt some production and just do whatever damage he can.
So intelligent out of Lucky. You know, one of the things Cyrano really let him get away red-handed with is making 95 workers and not punishing for it. And now he has all these spawn crawlers, you know, are kind of free. He had to make the drones. It was a little risky. But at this state, you know, now he's back down to just he's at 91 still. He'll be able to keep producing these, honestly, and it's just going to get absolutely out of control. Lucky's going to go for some multi-pronged aggression right now, coming in with some Zerglings on the left-hand side. Wants to kill off these probes, these pylons, at the same time going to be dropping into the main Zealots, though, spotting this right away. Good play out of Cyrano, but it won't be enough with these roaches.
Yeah, but I mean, a nice job to at least delay while he starts shifting some units back. Looks like the pylons were actually killed on the left-hand side. And look at that, he actually does have enough that he can delay for long enough and make sure that he holds us off. This actually, cleaning this up this efficiently, will probably buy him the necessary time he needs to establish a fairly safe 4th base. Looks like some charge lots are just running around with an observer, though, and clearing up all the creep spread. Gotta say, that was a really nice hold from Cyrano.
And not only does he hold it, but at the same time, he's getting things done on the map, establishing some map presence and control, and cleaning up this entire left-hand side, which is going to be so helpful in him securing this 4th base. But he does need the observer over here because this Zergling has been here for far too long. Zealots and sentries may finally be caught.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but of course, at this stage, I mean, it's not even necessarily that he's freeing up supplies. He doesn't really care about those sentries right now. I mean, he wants more Archons, he wants more Templar, he wants just really anything along those lines as he's morphing in a couple of Archons right now. They did just finish up. So, with the Fleet Beacon done, is he actually making a mothership at the moment? Yes, he is. Okay, so it's about 65 seconds done. Looks like we may have another contingent of Overlords off to the right. Yes, so it looks like he's going to try and load up into another drop, but he's going to get in there with some changelings and get a good look at his opponent.
Storm being researched right now for Cyrano. It does indicate he's getting ready to push out. We see he's near max supply, and he wants to be able to immediately replenish his splash damage when things do come to a head here. We can see that lots of Spore Crawlers going down in the back, and Spine Crawlers as well, so Lucky just fortifying his position almost excessively, which is really going to give him great foundation to push the limits here of what he can split up his army into.
All right, well, Cyrano's got to pull back and defend, and his entire army is out of position off to the left-hand side. He brings in a few Zealots here once again, just to delay for a while until he can get the rest of his units in position. But he is actually attacking his opponent's 5th at the exact same time, as Zealots are easily going to cleave their way through that hatchery.
It's almost as if instead of Lucky capitalizing on the fact that, you know, his opponent is distracted during his drops, which is what you typically see. Hey, I come in right now with some roaches. I'm going to drop them in your base. While I do that, I'm going to swing in and, you know, do a bunch of damage somewhere else. Instead, we're seeing Cyrano goes, oh, you're prepping this huge drop in my base. Let me go kill your 4th, because you won't be expecting this. You'll be too busy planning your sneaky attack. And I'll make sure your sneaky attack does nothing. But that's not the real concern here. I really just wanted to kill your 5th.
Charge lots running headlong into that spine crawler wall up in the middle of the map, unfortunately, as they all get cleaned up. But we saw that War Person with speed carrying 2 Immortals out on the map over towards the main, and I'm sure it'll be ducking around and trying to get in there to do some damage around the back of Lucky's forces. Lucky actually going up to a 2nd Spire right now. He's already got +1 Carapace on the way, 3 more Broodlords. In fact, how many Broodlords will that give him overall? Looks like 14 with 15 Infestors underneath.
Yeah, a huge army for Lucky at this stage. But, of course, both players have proven fairly equal. Even if you look at the resources lost tab, I mean, look at this. It's almost identical for these guys. So, really, really excellent play coming out of both players here. And quite a show match. So it's going to be crazy to see what does happen when the engagement finally goes down. Lucky just looks so incredibly defensible right now, but he's continuing to do these harassment drops. They haven't found much success as of yet, but at this moment there isn't a lot of supply room. You can see he can only afford to warp in 2 units because he's just too full. But the cannon's really securing things here back at home. Dark Shrine going to go down, in fact, during all this.
Zealots are too good too, man. I mean, they're just such effective units in pretty much any stage of the game, especially against the Zerglings. Speed Warp Prism is going to be able to break the defense, though. If it had been any slower, it actually would have taken some significant damage. He's just going to try and power down that +3 weapons. It looks like he's going to get a very nice use of those Immortals there, and he's going to be able to put a stop, at least for the time being, to +2 armor. One Immortal falls. The second one goes down just before he can get the last 2 shots necessary. So +2 armor will remain, but he does hold back those upgrades for a while.
Cyrano is really impressing me right now, not just with these last few plays, but throughout the entire course of this game. I mean, every attempt that Lucky has made to do drop harassment, which is something that's not really common in the meta right now, has been completely thwarted, often with consequences to Lucky. Right now, Cyrano with map control, he's the one out on the field. Lucky completely hunkered down at home, not able to take a 5th base because Cyrano is just in too dominant of a map control position. We see Cyrano is actually going to be taking a 5th before Lucky. That is a fantastic position to be in as a Protoss player. Currently pulling over 3,000 minerals, 1,400 gas, with Lucky just pulling a ton of minerals.
But look at this army that's starting to push across the map. 16 Broodlords, a ton of Infestors with absolutely full energy. How many Templar are out on the map, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, we've got 9 here with 2, that's actually including the 2 more warping in. So grand total of 7, because he just made Argon.
Well, that's still enough feedbacks. That's what I was curious about. So he's going to hit with a couple of feedbacks. Does he actually have a Neural Parasite as well? We can check that out here real quick. We're not sure because we don't have a full energy infestor. Yes, he does. And he's actually pushing in a lot of forces here, and he's going to be able to take out his opponent's 4th pretty easily. But at the same time, Cyrano's going to move across the map, and this is why you put down those spine crawlers, because you want to be able to win out in a base trade situation that's actually going to delay long enough for Lucky to start making his way back, and it is effectively going to be a base for a base, it appears.
Well,
oh, Cyrano's not going to kill that. He wants to get the better engagement here. I understand he doesn't want to be trapped on this little island, but I'm a little surprised that he didn't just take that out. Yeah,
he seems so indecisive right now. You know, he doesn't have knowledge of where Lucky's army is at this moment. And, you know, it's so immobile with all of these Broodlords. It looks like he's just trying to leave a couple of units, killing off a lot of the drones, in fact. Going to bring down, wow, that drone count is, in fact, down to just 42. But yeah, here's the thing. Cyrano, okay, he lost the base on the left-hand side. But in all honesty, he still has this base on the right. And he's sitting up in worker 72 to 39 right now. So Cyrano's not in a bad position at all.
There are actually going to be 39 Infestors here in a second. So we're actually topping the amount we saw the other day. So when we saw 38 on Cloud Kingdom with Finale versus Hyun. All right, so that's a very high Infestor count, but I think Cyrano made a mistake there. I think because he had delayed for so long, I think he should have just sat there. With the amount of forces he had in position, 2 shots and that hatchery's gone. So I think that's a little bit of a mistake from him.
No, I do agree in that regard, Kevin. Right now, we've got a little bit of a counterattack. Dark Templar and Zealots coming in over towards the main base of Lucky. Lucky going to be attacking with his Broodlords, with his Infestors. Decides he should pull back for the moment. Is it to deal with all these Zealots and Dark Templars? Maybe, but no. Okay, good. Yeah, he's just going to stay committed here. Really what he needs to be doing is tramping down on the economy and the production of Cyrano.
Yeah, I mean, and Cyrano's really lost that now. I mean, there's so many spine crawlers that are still up that these Zealots are kind of just wasting their time, and they're not really getting anything of value right now. They've not really killed any drones. They're just running around and tapping out supply while Lucky gets in position to start sieging up his opponent's 3rd. So Cyrano, oh my God, there's actually 4 more Infestors coming up. Can you take a look at the unit tab for me, please?
Absolutely, 37 right now. It's going to be out of control. But, oh, a little bit of a high Templar drop. Are we going to see some storms go down, possibly? Fungal growth. Oh, catches them. Oh, yeah, not enough energy. So he's just going to be dropping feedbacks down, kills off a couple of the Infestors, but looks like he's going to lose everything.
He actually killed all but one of the Queens so we could stop the transfusions, and that's actually kind of clever.
Yeah, Cyrano really, I mean, throughout this entire game has been displaying very good control, very good decision-making when it comes to combat engagements. But now he's just in between a rock and a hard place, as Lucky has such a good position here. Cyrano will have to come down this narrow ramp in order to engage this. He
tried to get up there and sneak in a Neural Parasite to be able to pick that up. Now those Zealots have done damage. I'm a little bit shocked that Lucky has not done any response to that whatsoever. And they have actually reset his opponent's tech, so Lucky needs to win with this push, otherwise he is going to be very, very, very far behind. Let's take a look, though. It's 179 supply to 194. Still a large bank of resources resources for Cyrano, but he is effectively losing pretty much everything over at this base.
Yeah, killing a couple of infestors here for free, never a bad thing. But, you know, well, here's what is surprising me is that Lucky's not replenishing the supply. He does still have a Spire, could definitely afford to make some Corruptors, some Mutalists, something that's going to help him when this big engagement does finally come. We can see the infestors. It seems like Cyrano's just waiting for the infestors to get lower and lower, but there seems to be an endless supply of them currently on the field. Cyrano sitting at 182 supply, Lucky at 173, trying to make the engagement happen with these Broodlords. The infestors in the front are dying. A Vortex goes down, but just for the moment, only capturing really an infestor or two.
All right, well, let's see here as Cyrano now, he does get the Vortex out there, but it was more positional because he did end up, you know, like you said, not grabbing all that many units inside of it. It's just a couple of infestors, and infested Terrans are actually going to be able to watch their escape. So Lucky does hold on pretty efficiently. Is he rebuilding any of his tech? Now he's just kind of letting resources go way up. And Cyrano's actually gone through his bank at the moment, which means that he has some income off to the left-hand side, but he needs to get a bit of damage done here. Good blink out of the way, though, as that fungal does miss.
Cannot believe that Lucky has not reconstructed any of his primary structures. No spawning pool, no roach warren, just 2 spires is what he's currently got to work with here. Also no infestation, but he's not going to be able to really reproduce anything. If behind this he were to reproduce these structures, I can't see how he would lose him from here just because of the size of his bank.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little surprising to me, too, and it looks like Lucky now finally putting up that spawning pool, so it's actually going to take a little while longer for it to get done, and Lucky wants to test the front one more time. You mentioned that unlimited, or seemingly unlimited amount of energy, but can we check the infestors real quick? I want to see actually where they're at. Yeah, there's still quite a bit, but that's significantly lower than it was before, and now this Nexus is actually cloaked. There's some Overseers around the side, and we'll see if Cyrano can get the engagement he wants. He blinks out ahead. He's trying to force this on his terms, but he is going to run directly into every one of the infestors. The infestor actually uses a Vortex on Cyrano's own unit, so Lucky with a magnificent play there. He traps most of his opponent's army, and he's going to be able to take out the Stalkers off to the right-hand side.
This is a very dangerous situation for Cyrano right now, guys. Here, oh, he's just gonna GG, realizes that the second those come out, everything's dead.
Wow, okay, so a Vortex landed by the neural parasited mothership that Lucky actually holds onto. He manages to take the game, a pretty long one, but there we have it. Lucky has taken 2 games in a row, and he's tied things up against TSL.
That he has. What a game out of Lucky. Cyrano just being, not really wanting to engage that force, which you can't blame him. It was huge. It was the scariest thing since you were 4 and there was a monster under your bed. And I mean, you know, being afraid for that long, he kind of just let his forces continually get whittled down by the non-stop infested Terrans.
Yeah, and non-stop infested Terrans there were, and there was nothing he could have done about that. I think it would have been a better position if he had been. I guess you know, in hindsight, he didn't actually have to, or it wasn't the critical thing that he didn't take out that 4th base from his opponent because his opponent never really used it. He just took the force that he already had up at the front and just went and killed him.
Yeah.
But still, you know, not exactly what you would want. And coming up next now for TSL though, as a player, he's okay. I mean, you may have heard of him. It's Hyun. It's this guy who's won, you know, 13 weeks of IPL Fight Club in a row. Yeah.
$6,800 now, actually, after last week. What an incredible player that TSL is going to be pulling out right now to try to take down Lucky. Let's see if he can do it. We're going to cut to a quick commercial break, and we will be right back with Lucky versus Hyun coming up next.